Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're still ahead on Nile TV International, our today's edition of the Breakfast Show. And to shed more light on this, we are most delighted to be joined over the phone by our prominent guest, Dr. Amira Sabek, Strategic Management and Educational Leadership Expert. Dr. Amira, great pleasure having you with us. Very good morning to you.
Blessed morning to you and all your audience.
Yep, so Egypt is still as a heavyweight country, not only in the region but globally, still actually with the exerting efforts try to alleviate the suffering of the Palestinians despite of all the restrictions of the Israeli occupation forces and going on to mobilize the civil society and volunteers for packaging and etc. to send over all the convoys, and as it reached now 184th. So what's your take on this first?
Actually, we can start by saying that what Egypt is doing through Zat al-Izza is not just aid delivery, it's, as we can call, a comprehensive humanitarian system that combines logistics, diplomacy, and solidarity, making Egypt a cornerstone in sustaining life in Gaza under extremely difficult conditions, as we can see. So Egypt here relies on the Egyptian Red Crescent as the central coordinator body for humanitarian aid to Gaza. Egypt operates under state supervision and acts as the official channel linking government institutions, civil society, and international donors. So the Red Crescent registers donations, local and international, verifies compliance with humanitarian standards, coordinates with border authorities and security agents, ensures neutrality and transparency in aid delivery. This, we can say, centralized structure prevents duplication, ensures fairness, and aligns all efforts with Egypt's national humanitarian strategy. So we can say Egypt is building a fully integrating humanitarian logistic corridor, especially in El Arish.
Yep. Well, as I mentioned before in the beginning, there are so many restrictions actually for all the convoys of aid coming over to or getting inside into the Gaza Strip, even despite the desperate need of the Palestinians on a daily basis. So, but Egypt is still actually, in spite of this, is still ongoing. And how does this work actually with the Palestinian Red Crescent, UN agencies, as you mentioned, and the international donors to prioritize and deliver the Zat al-Izza supplies?
Actually, this coordination is highly structured. Egypt works directly with the Palestine Red Crescent Society to ensure last mile distribution inside Gaza. Collaboration, as we said, with the United Nations, Relief and Works Agency, with the World Food Program, with World Health Organizations. All these organizations identify priority needs, provide data, monitor distribution. So Egypt here acts as a main logistical and political bridge, ensuring that all aid moves to Gaza in an efficient way.
Yep.
So we can say that Egypt here is playing a critical, also, besides this, is also playing a very critical medical humanitarian role. And in spite of all the risks, it's playing the cornerstone in the scene.
Yep, and this was my next question actually. Beyond the Zat al-Izza convoys and etc., Egypt is really playing a pivotal role and critical role in healing and the treating the Palestinian patients and sending them over to the Egyptian hospitals, carrying out surgeries, etc. So how you find such humanitarian great role by Egypt?
Yeah, as you said, Egypt plays a very critical medical humanitarian role. Egypt receives injured Palestinians through Rafah crossing, transfers them to hospitals across Egypt, including Cairo and Sinai, provides emergency surgeries, intensive care, as well as long-term rehabilitation. Institutions, for example, like Egypt Ministry of Health and the Population, coordinate nationwide hospital readiness. So Egypt has also allocated hospital beds, mobilized medical teams, as well as provided free state-supported treatment. for people who are in need for this.
Yeah, despite the ongoing geopolitical turbulences and of course with the recent US-Iran war, and despite all the geostrategic turbulences in the whole region, Egypt never forgets the humanitarian side of the Palestinian. Of course, the Palestinian cause is at the top of the Egyptian agenda, but actually the humanitarian situation is also at the top of this agenda. How you really find this? I mean, through the deliveries of Zad al-Azza.
Okay, we can say that, Egypt has witnessed large-scale grassroots mobilization. NGOs, universities, youth groups all participated in sorting donations, packaging aid boxes, loading trucks. The Egyptian Red Crescent leads volunteer coordination, and there has been nationwide donation campaigns. There has been corporate sector involvement, strong youth participation, and all this reflects a whole of society response, not just a government effort. We can also say that actually Egypt's approach reflects a balanced dual role. We can say in the humanitarian leadership, as it represents the largest aid corridor into Gaza and continuous support despite risks. We can also see the political responsibility Egypt is playing in the form of advocates for ceasefire, rejecting forced displacement of Palestinians, maintaining border sovereignty. So as a whole, we can say that Egypt positions itself as a regional stabilizer, as a neutral humanitarian actor, and as a key diplomatic mediator.
Yep, Dr. Amira Sabek, Strategic Management and Educational Leadership Expert, many thanks for being with us.